What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, guys. We're taking a look today at the second round matchup in the Central Division. In this corner, we have in blue the Tampa Bay Lightning, the favorite, taking on the Central Division winners, the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll be taking a look at these two teams in this second round matchup in this video. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more playoff videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. So let's take a look at this matchup between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Carolina Hurricanes. So we are in store for a bloodbath, and I am ready to suck up that blood in the hot tub because this is going to be an unbelievable series between two former Southeast Division opponents. There was a rivalry back in the day. It was a division of what? The Hurricanes, the Lightning, the Panthers, the Capitals, the Thrashers. I think that was it. I think it was those five teams in that division. And for a small time, the Winnipeg Jets, which you knew that division was good, and that was not going to last very long when Winnipeg came into the equation. But that's besides the point. We're taking a look at this playoff matchup series between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Carolina Hurricanes. So the defending Cup champs, the Tampa Bay Lightning, won the Stanley Cup in 2020. They had a pretty good series in the first round. They took on the Battle of Florida, taking on the Florida Panthers, beat the Florida Panthers in 6 games. Now, they were able to hold their own for the most part in that series. They won in a very, hostile environment in Florida in those first 2 games. But as the series went along, they started to loosen their grip a little bit and showed a little mercy to the Panthers to allow this to go to 6 games, which maybe they showed a little bit of weakness in this series. On the other side, though, the Carolina Hurricanes, really not too different of a story. They were in a really nice matchup here with the Nashville Predators, the top seed taking on, the number 4 seed Predators, who just a couple weeks ago, or really 2 months ago, we were talking about them selling off Philip Forsberg, Victor Arvidsson, Matthias Ekholm, selling the farm. But that doesn't seem to be the case, and they ended up going on a really nice run, and you see Saros in between the pipes, a really hot goaltender. The Carolina Hurricanes were still able to hold their own in that series. And they won that series over the Preds in 6 games, beating Nashville when they were down in that game 6. And they were able to be resilient, maybe come over a little bit of adversity. And I think that's something we have to look at going into this series as well. So the storylines going into this series, the first one we're looking at is Kucherov fully healthy, because I know there was a lot of flack going into game 1 of that series against the Panthers that, Kucherov is messing with the system and the salary cap, they're breaking the rules, this and that, that's not fair, blah, blah, blah. It's not fair until your team does it. Let's be completely honest. And I don't like the rule either, but there's other factors in this as well. You have to realize there is an owner paying Nikita Kucherov to sit on the bench for the entire season. So, Julien Brisebois definitely heard it a little bit from ownership that, hey, you know what, we're giving this guy $9 million, and he didn't play this season. Now, I guess the ownership doesn't care when you come off winning a Stanley Cup and a Stanley Cup favorite this year, but that's still something to keep in the back of your mind. Nedeljkovic, Neddy versus Vasi. Alex Nedeljkovic, I know, I got it right this time. Alex Nedeljkovic, we did get that right, had a really nice series against the Nashville Predators. He played really solid for the Carolina Hurricanes, and this is a guy that really is going to be a problem for the Tampa Bay Lightning. You look at his numbers, a 2.22 goals against average, pretty solid, and a .922 save percentage. So very good numbers for Nedeljkovic. Actually, better numbers than, dare I say, Andrei Vasilevsky, who was for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now he has a higher goals against average than Nedeljkovic with a 2.64, but just slightly better save percentage. Again, doesn't matter that much. Overall, they're pretty similar. They're very good hot goaltenders right now. A .929 save percentage for Vasilevsky. Now, another thing to keep an eye on going into this series is the matchup between the the special teams. We're looking at the power play versus the penalty kill. Specifically, the Tampa Bay Lightning's potent power play right now, which is at a 40% clips in the postseason against the Florida Panthers. That is going to be difficult for the Carolina Hurricanes to overcome, compared to the Carolina Hurricanes penalty kill, which is eclipsing at second best in the NHL at 88.5% on the penalty kill. So that is a big storyline going into this series. Which is better, the Carolina Hurricanes PK or the Tampa Bay Lightning's potent power play? Something to take a look at moving into this series. Now, another thing you have to look at is the head-to-head matchups between lines, the line matching we're going to see. Jacob Slavin will be the shutdown defenseman, I would think, for the Carolina Hurricanes, whether that's, Brady Shea or somebody else. I think it's going to be Jacob Slavin, and he's going to have to probably shut down the Braden Point line. That is a very difficult task, and something going ahead into this series that the Carolina Hurricanes should definitely be looking at. And for the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things, well, likely it's going to be a combination of Ryan McDonagh and David Savard trying to shut down the Sebastian Aho line, and that is not easy either with Nino Niederreiter and Teuvo Teravainen on the wings. That has been very potent here in the postseason, so that is definitely something to keep an eye on in this series. And not to mention my biggest thing going into this series, and that is, can the Tampa Bay Lightning handle adversity? Because let's be honest, for the most part, for the past, really since the Columbus Blue Jackets series 2 years ago, the Tampa Bay Lightning have not had any adversity. And they did show last season by winning the Stanley Cup that they can overcome that. But what about this year? It's a little bit of a different story here this year. And I wonder what Tampa Bay is capable of, because they kind of walked over Tampa Bay, the Florida Panthers. And they kind of let them creep back in, showing a little mercy. But for the most part, Tampa Bay had this series in control, steering this thing for most of the way. They kind of went a left turn and then just rewrote the ship right away. And they were able to win the series. But that is something to keep an eye on going into this series, because Carolina did show in their series against the Nashville Predators, especially in Game 6, that they are able to overcome adversity. They were down 3-1 in Nashville in a very hostile environment with the Predators' backs against the wall. And I thought for sure Nashville was winning that game. At the halfway point, Roman Josi goes down with injury, and the game completely changed. And the way you were able to see Sebastian Aho get that goal before the end of the second, a huge goal to give some life to the Canes in the third period, and just the poise on that face-off play by the Hurricanes in the final 5 minutes of regulation for Dougie Hamilton to bury that goal to tie the game in regulation was just absolutely surreal. And the way the Hurricanes came out of the locker room into overtime and scoring just a little over a minute into overtime with Sebastian Aho winning the faceoff once again, getting it to the point, getting the deflection just to get it over UC Saros' shoulder, and the series is over. So the Carolina Hurricanes have overcome some adversity in this year's postseason. We haven't seen that yet from the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, again, during the regular season were predominantly the favorite to win the Stanley Cup throughout most of the season and kind of took care of business. Even though both series ended in 6 games, it was definitely different with the way things ended. And you have to give some credit here to the Canes. I think they're going to put up a fight. This is not the same Carolina Hurricanes team we've seen the last 2 years. I truly believe they are better than the last 2 years of what we've seen from the Hurricanes. And I'm really having a hard time picking who's going to win this series. But there's one factor. There's one factor, one big thing that's leaning me toward one team over another. And that is something you have to be, you have to caution, because we saw, recent play doesn't really matter. We saw what the Edmonton Oilers did going into the postseason and the Winnipeg Jets, and I thought for sure Edmonton was winning that series, and then Winnipeg swept the Oilers. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, but you have to consider it. And the head-to-head matchup this season, in the 8 games this season, the Carolina Hurricanes record against the Bolts is something you have to look at. 4-3-1 against the Bolts. So they were able to pick up 9 points, out of 16, which is actually pretty good against the Tampa Bay Lightning. but it was at a .536 clips, which was the worst of the 7 opponents that the Carolina Hurricanes played this postseason throughout the regular season. That is the worst point percentage they had against any other Central Division team by far, because they were at, I believe, at least a 700 in terms of points per game against the other 6 opponents in that division: Nashville, Nashville, Florida, Dallas. I already forgot the division. It's too weird, but that's besides the point. So that is something to keep an eye on. And the way Andrei Vasilevskiy has played, and the veteran leadership of Vasilevskiy, of Stamkos, even of guys like Braden Point, McDonough, Hedman, how do you go against Tampa Bay in this series? Because I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this series in 6 games. Now, the reason I say 6 games and not 7 is actually because of the home ice advantage, which I think will favor Tampa Bay. I think it'll be a 3-3 series. At that point, it's going to be, what is it? I guess. Damn. You know what? I'm going to go with Game 7. I think Carolina's going to win their 2 games at home because they start the series at home. I think Tampa Bay wins games 3 and 4 at home. It's going to be a toss-up in Game 5, but I'm going to go with Carolina winning on home ice. I'm going to go with the home teams winning on home ice. It's going to be that close. I think Tampa Bay wins Game 6, but I think ultimately Game 7, when it's all on the line, when it's all said and done, I think Tampa Bay comes out on top with the veteran leadership that they have in between the pipes, on defense, up front. The Carolina Hurricanes have a little bit of experience going to the Eastern Conference Final back in 2019, but compared to what the Tampa Bay Lightning have been through and what they expect to do here this season, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this series in 7 games. They are just too talented. I am going to beat myself up when the Carolina Hurricanes win this series in 5 or 6 games, and you guys are going to laugh at me, but you cannot bet against Tampa Bay, the defending Cup champs. What we've seen from Kucherov and Hedman here this postseason, Kucherov has 11 points this postseason. Hedman has 9, leading all defensemen in that category. You can't go against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm not about to do that here. So, Tampa Bay Lightning win this one in 7. It's going to be a great series, but I'm really looking forward to this one because this is a really good matchup. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you have winning this series between the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending Stanley Cup champions of 2020, or do you have the underdog, the Central Division champion in the Carolina Hurricanes? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and the latest Stanley Cup playoffs coverage, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the second round of the postseason.